Welcome back, it's Mac D. Today we are joined by retired 1st Sergeant Matt Olivolo from the United States Marine Corps. He was in for 21 years. I'm super glad to have him with us here today. Alright, so let's start off with our warm questions. So what is your favorite fast food restaurant?
Currently Fuzzy's Tacos.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that's a pretty local thing around here. So what's your favorite thing from there?
Shredded chicken tacos. It's
Okay.
pretty good. Being from Southern California, I like Mexican food, and that was just a really cool place I found here in McKinney, Texas.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Okay, any significance for that?
Just it's a good time to celebrate the birth of our Lord, and it's just a great time for family to be together and gift giving or
Your reflection and all
the
that
reflection.
stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where is the favorite place that you've traveled to in the United States?
In the United States, I know I answered these questions already, but I think Aspen, Colorado.
Okay.
Is the
Just because of scenery, time spent there?
It was amazing. It was there. I was there for the X Games when it was
Oh, cool.
there, and
Oh,
actually, the Marine Corps at the time sponsored the X Games, and so I was there as a representative of the Marines and got to snowboard while I was there.
Cool.
Amazing time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the pre-training category. So why did you join the military?
I was always an athlete, and I always liked to be challenged. In the sports that I did, I ran track, cross country, and wrestled, and they're all individual sports, but yet still a team sport.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be challenged. I wanted to serve my country, and I was always a patriotic person, but I just wanted to do something that was very challenging. And if I was going to join the military, it was going to be the Marine Corps.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Whenever you had to leave for boot camp, what was the hardest thing about leaving, or was it pretty easy for you?
It was pretty easy. I mean, I trained. I was ready to go. I had quit my job prior to leaving, so I mean, I was ready. The hardest part at the time, I had a girlfriend, but high school girlfriend. But that was probably the only difficult part.
Yeah. Do you have a funniest memory from training that you can think of?
I was thinking about that question, and there's always funny moments while you're there, but I don't really recall that many funniest moments.
Yeah, probably wasn't funny at the time. But
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, looking back, it was a pretty serious time.
Yeah.
But
all right.
great way to not answer the question.
That's okay. If you can always say pass. That's perfectly fine here. What was the hardest obstacle that you faced at basic? Could have been mental or physical.
I think mental. I've always been a little bit afraid of heights, and so when we had to rappel down the tower, I think it's 150 feet. I'm not exactly sure.
The one that says like Marines on it, or is it
Right.
USMC, something like that?
USMC, yeah.
Yeah.
That it was a little scary going over the ledge.
Yeah.
Backwards and then going down. But once I did it, it was totally fine, and that was probably the hardest. Just mentally, I was a little scared. Other than that, everything else was fun.
Smooth sailing, yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that the beginning of phase 3?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. That's whenever it starts to turn around. Did you have a chance to graduate up from boot camp as a PFC or anything like that because of credentials?
I was a PFC thanks to my recruiter.
Okay.
I had helped a buddy join as well, so I got credit for that. But I wasn't the honor grad or anything like that.
Right, yeah.
Even though I aspired to be.
That's good, yeah. So post boot camp, what was next for you after just your basic training?
Marine combat training is right after boot camp. And then from there I went to my MOS school, which was at the time amphibious assault vehicle driver, which is in Camp Pendleton, Camp Del Mar.
And how long was that schooling?
I believe it was about 3 months or so.
Okay.
Schooling, and
Pretty smooth sailing for that as well?
pretty good. Yeah, you had to be a good swimmer because
Because it's amphibious.
right, you had to jump off your vehicle like a mile off the coast and swim in your gear, boots on and everything, and as long as you could do that, you can do the job.
Yeah, okay. Whenever you got through all your schooling, what was your first assignment and what did you do?
My first assignment was when stationed at Camp Pendleton, and again I was an amphibious assault vehicle driver, and I was basically a crewman. So basically I drove the vehicle. and I think my first assignment was we went on a Marine Expeditionary Unit over to the Persian Gulf and went to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait.
Okay, cool. So I guess let's just talk about, so eventually you ended up doing a lat move to where you got into communications, basically public affairs. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. At the end of my first enlistment, I wanted to do something that I could translate outside of the Marine Corps. Because I knew eventually I was going to leave. I wasn't sure how long I was going to stay active duty. And so, yeah, I had always been into writing and photography. So I found at the time it was called combat correspondent. Found that position, and luckily my scores were high enough, so I switched into that job. And honestly, it was the smartest thing I ever did while I was in, because today I actually utilize the skills that I learned, and I do media relations now, and so thanks to the Marine Corps, I have that schooling.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what I mean?
So let's talk about military life. So out of all the places they got to travel, which one was your favorite?
Australia was by far, hands down, my favorite. We were on a MEU, Marine Expeditionary Unit, on ship, and we went around Persian Gulf, went to Kenya, and again, when we got to Australia, it was just an awesome place to be.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to interact with the natives and the culture there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Great times. People, they love Americans there, and it's just it felt like being at home, but yet
A little different.
just a little different with cool accents.
Yeah, that's true. Did they try any of their weird, bizarre foods there?
I think I wrote down when I was in Japan, I tried yakisoba, which is basically just like a noodle, like noodles. But that became kind of a staple of my diet when I was there.
Okay. It's just like a different kind of noodle?
Yeah, it's something I had never had.
Okay.
And
you must have fallen in love with it.
it was pretty good.
All right. So this next question is my favorite question. Was there an act of courage in someone else that you wanted to share? Could have been something that you heard about while training or that you witnessed firsthand.
And I don't really recall what I wrote down as far as my answer, but I was lucky, and I had a lot of really good leaders that helped kind of mentor me as I was growing up through the ranks, and a lot of senior enlisted individuals and officers that were just great American guys that were great leaders. And so I used them. I tried to learn from them, and I applied that when I got promoted. I kind of applied some of those fundamentals that they taught me to young men like yourself, where hopefully it'll help you by listening to old guys like me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good that you learned and taught what you were taught.
Right.
So once you got out, how was adjusting to civilian life for you?
My transition out of the Marine Corps was actually pretty easy. Again, because I had a civilian type job in the Marine Corps, so I'm a little luckier than say an 0311 infantry.
Yeah.
So I was lucky. So I was already kind of in that thought process of what am I going to do? I finished my bachelor's degree while I was on active duty, and so I was already ready to go.
Yeah.
By the time I transitioned out.
Yeah, awesome. So if you could go back and do it all over with those 21 years, would you do it again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. What 3 words would you use to describe your military life / career?
Only 3 words. It's tough.
Sometimes people do sayings. Like I had one Marine that said, "Best job ever."
Yeah.
I've had that.
It was one of the best jobs, one of the best times I should say ever. But just the esprit of the Corps is what stuck with me and has always kind of stuck with me. So if I had to really say exactly what kind of stuck with me, I would say esprit of the Corps.
Yeah, that's all. All right, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. God bless, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely, thanks.
Thank you.